never thought I'd be telling a story like this. It seemed like Michelle and I had the perfect life, a suburban home outside Seattle that we bought 3 years ago, stable careers for both of us, and plans to start a family next year. 12 years together, 5 of them married. I thought I knew her better than I knew myself. It all started with little things, so subtle I barely noticed. Michelle began staying late at work more often. Her marketing agency had taken on a major new client, and she explained it was due to the increased workload. I believed her. Then came the new perfume I hadn't bought her. A birthday gift from the team at work, she said. I believed that too. Then the business dinners became more frequent, along with the sudden weekend trips for client consultations. I still believed her, though something inside me started to doubt. The evening I discovered the truth, it was raining. A cold, bone-chilling November rain. I was returning home after an unexpectedly canceled conference in Chicago. My flight had been moved up a day earlier, and I decided to surprise Michelle. I bought her favorite red wine and ordered dinner from the Italian place she loved. The key turned silently in the lock. In the entryway stood a pair of men's boots I'd never seen before. Expensive, clearly Italian leather, larger than my size. In the living room, soft music was playing, a jazz album Michelle had never particularly cared for, but I figured her tastes might have changed. On the coffee table were 2 wine glasses, one with traces of my wife's lipstick. I stood there, not knowing what to do next. Part of me wanted to turn around and leave, pretend I hadn't seen anything. Another part demanded I go further, climb the stairs, push open the bedroom door. I chose the latter. They couldn't hear my footsteps over the music. The door was slightly ajar, and I could see them both in our bed. In our bed, with the sheets we'd picked out together during our anniversary trip to Portland. Her boss, David, the man who'd given a touching speech at our wedding reception, the man who'd been to our home for dinner parties countless times, sometimes with his own wife. My throat closed up. I couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. I just stood there, watching their bodies move together, hearing my wife make sounds I thought were reserved only for me. Then, as if sensing my presence, Michelle turned her head. Our eyes met. Tom. Her voice was barely audible, a mixture of shock and horror. You're supposed to be in Chicago. David scrambled to cover himself, his face a mask of guilt and embarrassment. Listen, man, I can explain. Don't, I said, surprised at how calm my voice sounded when I felt like I was dying inside. Just don't. I turned and walked downstairs. Behind me, I could hear Michelle calling my name, the frantic rustling of clothes being hastily put on. I grabbed my car keys and walked out into the rain, not caring that I was getting soaked. I drove aimlessly for hours, my mind replaying every moment of our relationship, searching for signs I must have missed. It was 3 days before I returned home. 3 days of hotel rooms, unanswered calls, and a pain so intense I thought it might kill me. Michelle was there, eyes red from crying, clothes rumpled like she hadn't changed in days. It meant nothing, she insisted. It was just physical, a mistake. We can work through this. But as she spoke, my mind kept flashing to text messages I'd seen on her phone over the past 6 months. Inside jokes, heart emojis, late-night conversations. This wasn't just physical. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a relationship that had been developing right under my nose while I worked 60-hour weeks to save for the house, the future, the children we planned to have. How long? I asked. She looked away. 8 months. 8 months. While I was planning our anniversary trip, while we were discussing names for our future children, while I was holding her parents' hands at her father's funeral, telling them I'd always take care of their daughter. 8 months of lies. Did you ever think about telling me? About ending it? I tried, she whispered. I tried to end it 3 times. But it's complicated. Complicated. Such a simple word for destroying a marriage, for betraying 12 years of trust. He's leaving his wife, she added, as if this somehow made things better. He wants us to stop, I said. Just stop. The following weeks were a blur of couples therapy sessions, tearful conversations, and nights spent sleeping in separate rooms. Michelle swore she had ended things with David, that she wanted to save our marriage. I wanted to believe her. Some days I almost did. Then came the day I checked our phone records and saw his number still there. Daily calls during her lunch break. Messages late at night when she thought I was asleep. When confronted, she broke down. I can't help it, she sobbed. I've tried to stop, but I can't. I think I'm in love with him. Those words ended our marriage as surely as if she had put a bullet through its heart. 2 months later, I signed divorce papers in a sterile downtown office with views of the Seattle skyline. Michelle wasn't present. Her lawyer said she was moving to Chicago. With David, his divorce had been finalized a week before ours. Sometimes I drive past our old house. A young couple lives there now. I see them gardening together on weekends, painting rooms, walking a golden retriever puppy, living the life Michelle and I had planned. I wonder if they know the history of the house they bought. I wonder if they can feel the ghosts of broken promises in those walls. It's been 2 years. I've dated a little, nothing serious. Trust doesn't come easily anymore. Friends tell me I'll heal eventually, that time fixes everything. Maybe they're right. But some nights I still wake up reaching for someone who isn't there, before remembering that the woman I built my life around chose someone else. And in those moments, it feels like no amount of time will ever be enough. If this story touched you, leave a like to show your support, and subscribe for more whispered tales of heartbreak and hope.